How the Grinch Stole Christmas by the DR.Seuss. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just in the north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, starting down from his screen with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below and their own town. For he knew every who down in Whoville that was busy now hanging mistletoe over it. And they're stalking. He snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his grinchy fingers, nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then oh the noise, oh the noise, noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise. Then the Who's young adults sit down to a feast. And they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch could stand in the last. And then they'd do something that he'd like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and small, would stand close together with bells ringing, and they'd stand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas song, the more Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why? For 53 years I put it with that now. I must stop Christmas this Christmas from coming. Then he got an idea. Awesome, awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. And he chuckled and chuckled. What a Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Blink. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scared, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, I can't find a reindeer. I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Mac. The Grinch said, "Giddy up," and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay loose in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled in the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in first. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, so the Grinch, he got stuck only for a moment or two. He stuck his to the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinchy Revy Nibbly stuck all the bags by one clipping. Then he shrunk to the ice box. He took all the Who's feast, and he took all the Who's pudding, and he took the roast beast. He cleared out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove. When he heard a small sound like a coo of dew, he turned around fast and saw a small Who. Landy Candy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out our bed of a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and slick. He thought of a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little pot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on inside. So I'm taking it to my home workshop. My dear, I'll fix it up there and I'll bring it back here." And as fearful, the child then patted her head and got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Candy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then they went up to the chimney himself. The only layer on there was left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that was left in the house was a crumb even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who's mouses. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load of the tip-top to dump it. Hoo-hoo to the Who's. He was Grinch. Is he lie humming? They're finding out now that no Christmas is. They'll just wake up. I know what they'll just do. They'll hang. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the who's will down in who all will all cry boo hoo. That's a noise when the Grinch that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It stared in low, then it started to glow. But the sound wasn't very sad. Why the sound merry? Couldn't be so. But it was merry, very, and he stared down at who will. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shocked. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Everyone who will college was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. So how or other it's just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling and puzzled. How could it be so? I came without ribbons, I came without tacks, I came without packages, I came without boxes and bags. And he puzzled till 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in who will they say that Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. In the minute his heart grew so quiet and tight, he whistled with his nose too bright, worried light, and he brought the back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Thank you for reading along with me. In some parts I needed help, but this is the reading part. Okay, so now can you please subscribe?